What's up everyone, it's your boy Shaka here, coming to you with another episode of A Twisted Path to Renown. Today we're going to be talking about some of the higher tier areas that you can go into with the keys that you find from our previous video. A big tip right here is that in the Barry locked room area, you're going to find weapons that are actually sunken into the table. There's a bit of a glitch, I'm sure it'll get fixed at some point, but big pro tip, check underneath the table to make sure that you're getting the actual weapon that spawns on that table. I thought that they had nerfed this room quite a bit and was kind of a bit discouraged that there was no gun in here. However, this is a good source for fully 100% durability weaponry that you can find. I found a single barrel shotgun with or without a scope, as well as a 38 with a scope and a 44 with a scope. You can also find yourself in this cabinet the Iron Mine drawer key, as well as the medic key. And we'll just go through some of the other areas afterwards, but we'll do medic as well as Dixon shed key, because I do consider that to be more of the higher tier area for certain things. Okay, so just to double up on Barry here, just to make sure we're covering all the loot tables, there's going to be some pretty regular stuff in the cabinet. Again, the drawer cabinet, we've got actually 2 medic keys in here, and you'll usually find yourself vault extension permits inside of there. The side table, I would say, is probably going to give you more higher tier money items. Sometimes you'll get barter items in there. We're going to get a mixture of mid-tier stuff as well as higher tier stuff. You can see that this mid-tier ammo right here, I usually just collect the 44 and the slugs. Sometimes there's bolo or double aught, but it's usually fairly impactful. And in this side cabinet, we're going to be finding some of the higher tier gun components that we need, as well as some more barter items in the corner. So that's kind of Barry for you. All right, so we've got ourselves medic here. I would say it's a pretty big nerf in terms of what you normally could find in there. You're going to be able to find some vault extension permits, but in terms of other things that you might anticipate finding in here, I don't think it's really worth the effort of going to Barry just to get the key maybe, and then coming to medic after fighting everybody that's at medic. There's a higher tier backpack on the bed, but you can definitely either craft or find that at Barry already. And then on top of that, you're basically just finding some barter items, some things that you can maybe grab for later. But in terms of other stuff, the Calendula salve or Calendula salve is really the only other piece that really sticks out to me. There's not even any TNT on the shelves anymore. I would say you could probably make do with looting and finding the money required to buy the Calendula flowers and then crafting it yourself, because the amount of effort you're taking to get inside of medic, I don't know. I don't really see the benefits, but I guess if you're already in Barry and you've got the keys there, you might as well just go for it. But again, it's just a bit of a nerf, I think. The loot table inside of medic just doesn't seem to add up to the amount of benefits that you get from the cost of attacking and taking medic out by yourself, or even with a party. I would say even less with the party, because you're just using up a little bit of your resources, some of your heals, with not much of an added bonus to going in there and looting the stuff inside. So maybe at some point they're going to balance this out. Anyways, we're going to move on to Dixon. The shed key is the only key you need to look for, and luckily I was able to find Dixon without really any trouble. There is no patrol for Dixon. You just have to go west of Dixon itself towards the caravan camp. You can see off in the distance with a bit of smoke there. You find yourself the wagon just over this hill, and once you get that wagon, there's a bag that's going to be sitting on the outside of the wagon. You get that. You can find the key in there. I generally found the key every single time. I would say maybe there's probably a spawn chance of like 95 or 85%. But generally it's going to be there unless somebody beat you to the punch and already grabbed that key. It's a bit of an exposed area, but there are certain things that you can grab from this spot, such as different low to mid tier components for weapons that you want to craft, as well as some heals and a bit of food, just in case you're stuck trying to extract and your stomach gets a little bit empty. All right, so we make our way back to Dixon. The shed key is going to open up the building on the left side. Make sure your surroundings are okay, because you are a little bit exposed here as you open that door. And you've got yourself a powder measuring tool that's pretty much always going to spawn here, as well as maybe a swaging press. Not always going to be there. I would say this area is going to be pretty good for finding yourself some sandpaper and some glue, which have become a little bit harder to find nowadays. If you guys do know any other areas, do let me know in the comment section below. But generally, I would call this high tier because of the meta that sandpaper can unlock for you in terms of making Spitzer ammo. Other than that, we're probably going to find some more food items as well as craftable stuff and some barter items. So definitely keep an eye out for that key. If you're in the area, it's a pretty low risk situation. There's only a couple of AI that are going to be defending it. So transporting ourselves into the future, we're back into the Dixon shed just to make sure we're covering all of our bases and making sure we're covering basically what you can find in terms of a loot table in this area. This is the first time I found a cylinder hand. I think that there was a bit of a glitch with the coding, and so hand wasn't able to show up, so they had to change it to cylinder hand. So keep an eye out for those, because at first the loot table did not represent fully what you could get from this game. So definitely grab those if you do see them, because they are technically a new piece in the loot table structure. So it's probably of use to grab as many of those as you can find right off the bat. As you can see, there's going to be some heals on the shelves. Definitely check on the floor, because sometimes they fall down or they don't render correctly and they actually are on the floor. As well as there's going to be some coca liquid extract, as well as some alcohol spawns on those shelves as well. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, hey Shaka, I'm having some issues with the nerf on this game. Definitely all of these locked rooms used to have all the good stuff, all the good juicy stuff. Well, hey, definitely make sure you're looking at the barters. Always refresh them whenever you do see them come up, because the barters are actually some of the better pieces that you can find. There's a ton of barters that you can do that will help flesh out your experience in this game for crafting, for storage space, different things like that. The only thing I would suggest in terms of tips and tricks is not really using the medical cabinet. I think that you can actually just use med aid boxes and save just as much space. The med aid boxes don't actually go inside that cabinet, so maybe just stay away from that as a storage device piece. Other than that though, if you hit your restock button, you're going to find certain components that you might think is a good trade. I think the cigar and the chest piece for the calendula salve is a incredible trade. You don't have to worry about ever going to medic again, because that's literally the only draw to going in there. As well as the med aid boxes with the tobacco pipe, the rusty knife for the can of deer meat. Really good trade. This one's going to be a little bit harder to find, but the magazine mechanism is a very sought after piece, especially if you're trying to do your 39.9 late game meta. So getting a gold chalice, a chest piece, and a leather strap might be worth your while. You always seem to run across most of these items. There are some pretty rare higher tier ones. One that goes for the drill mill right here, the bejeweled Byzantine bracelet. That one's probably going to be a little bit harder to find. However, the drill mill is pretty common, and it's not one of those things that you need a whole heck of a lot of in terms of use. So I don't know. I think that for the most part, that's not really a great trade anyways. So you'll start to get to understand which barters are actually good and which ones aren't. Muzzle cap is one of the higher tier pieces that you need for crafting certain components, and finding one of those books is actually quite easy. Now the silver spoon, that is one of the harder pieces to find in raid, so I would be very wary about what barters you use a silver spoon for. But hey, a bear figurine for a 38 pistol at 70% durability, I would take that trade any day. Another piece that I would say is not great storage would be the weapon rack. You can just get a holster rack and put your weapons inside your holsters, as well as the child figurine, the child Jesus or something, whatever it's called, for number 5 gunpowder is insanely good value. I would say that that's probably one of the better barter items, as well as the chest pieces. The chest pieces and the child Jesus figurines are definitely going to be some of the better pieces that you're going to want to take out of raid. Those are worth their weight in gold, and there are going to be certain traders that are going to have better barters than others. I don't necessarily think that the reputation matters. If you have a better standing reputation, or if you have a worse standing reputation, if the barters are affected, but it's always good to keep an eye out for that stuff. If you guys are seeing none of these barters that I'm showing you right now, and your reputation is lower, go check out the video that I've posted about getting your trader reputation up through questing, as well as through certain things that you need to collect for them. If you're looking for storage of ore and wood, I would say that the 2 plates and the rusty knife is an incredibly good trade. In terms of the Nathaniel Harrington trades, sometimes you can actually go from one to the other. So you got a copper ore, you can trade for the iron ore, and then once you got the iron ore, you can go to the lead ore. But in terms of Nathaniel Harrington, very, very underwhelming barters. this guy, Samuel Cole, he's got some pretty decent ones, but I would make sure to check the durability percentage on some of these weapons because sometimes they're not going to be worth it. If you're getting a silver spoon to give yourself a bolt action that's basically already going to be at misfiring range, anywhere from 35% or lower, it's basically a bunk trade. So you're just losing a silver spoon. I would say the chest piece for the moccasins, if you like your speed and you like throwing those Nikes on, you can immediately get 3 times the barter if you do want it. There are 3 of those there each time you restock, which I think is a really good trade in my opinion. So I always try to stock up on those chest pieces. And if you're a newer player and you don't have the seasonal cards that were in part of the event before, you won't really be able to do anything with Miles Baxter. However, you might be able to find some cards on the auction house. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But it is one of those things that's probably not going to be worth the amount of money that you have to pay, because some of these cards are highly valuable, especially now that there is no more area for you to go find them and bring them home to roost. One of the pieces that I would suggest getting is the firearm components rack. The 16er is really, really strong, but again, not very easy to attain. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support and the feedback you guys give me. So definitely hit that like, subscribe, and comment in the section below what you guys want to see next. I do have a 10% off discount code for the game. It is Shaka10. So definitely throw that into the mix if you are thinking about buying the game so you can get that extra discount. And until next time, ciao for now.